We start the proceedings of the next day. So we start the proceedings of the next the day, and it is really unfortunate that students could not enter in time. We are starting late. So the first person to present today will be uh, kindly start the proceedings. Start presenting, Omlan.
Yes, sir. Good morning, all my respective teachers and my lovely friends. I am Omlan Maji, student of PG 4th semester Zoology Asansol under Kazi Nazrul University. Today I would like to present to you the topic Locust Attack in India 2020. So, before knowing the locust, we must know how entomology is related with agriculture. The study of all economically important insects is the object of the subdiscipline economic or applied entomology. A branch of economic entomology is dedicated to the study of insect and interest to agriculture because they help increase crop production. So now, what is locust? Locusts are just large grasshoppers from order Orthoptera, suborder Califera, family Acridiidae, genus Cysticerca, and species Gregaria. So what are locust attacks? Locusts form enormous swarms that spread across the region, devouring crops and leaving serious agricultural damage in their wake. When the locust starts attacking crops, they destroy entire agriculture economy. It is referred as locust plague or locust invasion. There are four kinds of locust capable of creating a plague. These are desert locust, migratory locust, Bombay locust, and tree locust. Among them, India is battling with desert locust. A desert locust lives about 3 to 5 months, although this is extremely variable and depends on mostly weather and ecological conditions. The life cycle comprises three stages: egg, hopper, and adult. Egg hatch in about 2 weeks depending on temperature. Hoppers shed their skin 5 to 6 times in 30 to 40 days and each time growing in size. The process is called molting and the adult matures in 3 to 4 weeks. This picture shows us the desert locust recession area. Desert locust recession area covers about 16 million kilometers square from West Africa to Western India. The invasion area extends to the south, north, and east. The recession area covering some 30 million kilometers square. Desert locusts have two phases, solitary and gregarious. In their solitary phase, locusts are unassuming insects that generally keeps to themselves. But when they transform into what's known as their gregarious phase, they move faster and attracted to other locusts and form oppressive swarm that can blacken skies. Undergo this Jekyll and Hyde transformation caused by secretion of serotonin. An invasion by swans or desert locusts had devastated crops in India's heartland, threatening the already vulnerable region that's struggling with economic cost of coronavirus lockdown, the situation has been particularly grim in Central Asia's Rajasthan, where millions of locusts have been attacked crops since April. The insects are now appearing locations where they are not been previously sighted, leaving their way across the large swathes farmlands in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat too. This video shows us the intensity, the viciousness of the attack. So why India has desert locust problem and what's the way forward? As their name suggests, desert locusts normally live and breed in semi-arid or desert regions. For laying eggs, they require bare ground, which is rarely found in areas with dense vegetation. So they're more likely to breed in Rajasthan than the Indo-Gangetic Plain or Godavari. So how to tackle the locust problem? Not only proper use of pesticide, but the new technologies like WMO Global Telecommunication System, Reconnaissance and Monitoring System of Environment of Cystosarca, RAMSES, e-locust database and active national locust control centers can help us battling this second pandemic upon India. Still reeling under impact of coronavirus pandemic, another severe crisis staring at India, one with the potential in impact their food security. Many farmers in India allowed their crops to rot in fields as they could not find any labor or transportation during the harvest season due to lockdown. Farmers using traditional but futile ways to get rid of insects. In remote parts of Punjab, farmers beat drums and keep insects away. In other parts, they use smoke to cut the oxygen supply to insects. Experts, however, believe that these desperate attempts have hardly any effect on locusts. The future is still uncertain for Indian farmers. Let's see what is waiting for us in post-pandemic India. I took reference from R.F. Chapman and all these mentioned news sites. I would like to thank Dr. Sangita Lahiri ma'am, Dr. Arnab Ganguly sir, Dr. Pankaj Datta sir, Raja Mukherjee sir and Monesh Chandra De sir of Department of Zoology, BB College and my friends for helping me out. Without them, this work would be incomplete. Thank you for giving me your precious time.
Thank you, Amlan. Thank you. It was a very, very good and very nicely presented talk. It cools my boiling head a bit. And perhaps all of you must thank Amlan also for that. So this topic is open for discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Amlan.
Yes, sir.
So, do you know any scientist from West Bengal who has got a presidential award for his very well decorated intervention strategy against these locust? Just one scientist?
No, sir.
You should know. He is from Vishwabharati. Actually, he was from Vishwabharati. His name is Professor Porimulindu Haldar. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And second, what is the recent development in a field of intervention strategy against locust?
So recent development বলতে গেলে এই লোকাস্ট অ্যাটাক সেন্টার যেটা এনএলসিসি সেটা নিউলি তৈরি হয়েছে আমাদের আগে লোকাস্ট অ্যাটাক সেন্টার
কত অবধি স্প্রেড করে, কত অবধি আসে ওরা,
কত অবধি মানে আরেকবার বলুন।
এই যে ইনসেক্ট গুলো এদের যে মানে বিতরণ ক্ষেত্রে মানে কোন জায়গা থেকে আসে আর কত অবধি স্প্রেড করে?
এটা এরা মোটামুটি একদিনে বলতে গেলে 300-400 কিলোমিটার মাইগ্রেট করতে পারে আর আসে মোটামুটি সেন্ট্রাল আফ্রিকা থেকে, মানে সেন্ট্রাল আফ্রিকার যে ডেজার্ট গুলো আছে সেটা হচ্ছে তাদের ন্যাচারাল হ্যাবিটেট। আর
এই যে মাইগ্রেশনটা সেটাকে কন্ট্রোল হয় কিভাবে, কিভাবে কন্ট্রোল করে, মানে কিভাবে সেন্স করে ওরা যে কোনখানে যে এগ্রিকালচারাল ফিল্ড আছে ওরা কিভাবে সেন্স করে?
এগ্রিকালচার স্যার অ্যাকচুয়ালি যেটা মাইগ্রেটরি পাথ সেটা ওদের হেরিডিটিতে আছে আর কি, মানে যারা
না নিশ্চয়ই
লোকাস্ট।
কোনো কেমো অ্যাট্রাকশন হয়, সেটা কিভাবে হয় বলতে পারবি? ইনসেক্টের কেমো অ্যাট্রাকশন কি করে হয়?
স্যার একটা আমি পড়েছিলাম যে যখন লোকাস সলিটারি ফেজে থাকে তখন ওরা মানে বিটার সেন্স যেটা যেটা বিটার সেন্স থাকে, কোনো সেই রকম কোনো ক্রপকে ওরা টেস্ট করে, তারপরে সেটা ওরা মেমোরিতে রেখে দেয় যে এটা বিটার। তারপরে ওরা যখন বেটার কোনো জায়গায় যায়, বেটার কোনো টেস্ট বা ক্রপে ওরা পায়, তখন সেটা সেই দিকে ওরা সেটা আর কি মেমোরিতে থেকে যায় এবং পরে যে যখন সেন্স করে তখন সেই দিকেই ওরা যাবে যেখানে ওরা বেটার খাবার পাবে। কিন্তু
ওকে অম্লান, থ্যাংক ইউ অম্লান।
থ্যাংক ইউ অম্লান, ভালোই হয়েছে। আরো একটা জিনিস আছে এটাতে বলে দিই, there is something known as semiochemicals, defense strategy, foraging strategy, plus they have certain forager, মানে যেরকম bees have got foragers, recent research has found out that even locusts have a single foragers. One or two locusts make an inspection. Now it is a very open field how locusts communicate with each other. We know that bees communicate with each other. Now how do locusts communicate with each other? How do so many locusts go in the same path? One of them don't move from this way to the other way. How do ants follow? We know that that's because of certain pheromones and chemicals they see. So
স্যার
chemical communication among them.
স্যার দুটো দুটো হরমোন আছে, যেটা হচ্ছে একটা হচ্ছে 4 ভিনাইল অ্যানিসোল, আর একটা
Yes,
হচ্ছে যে
yes,
সেরোটোনিন, একটা হচ্ছে
exactly,
সেরোটোনিন। এই দুটো
exactly.
যখন বিহাইন্ড লেগ দুটো ওরা ঘষে তখন একটা লোকাস্টের ওই সেরোটোনিন সিক্রেট হয়। এবারে যখন একটা সেরোটোনিন একজনের সেরোটোনিন সিক্রেট হচ্ছে তখন আরেকটা আসে, আবার আরেকটা আসে। এবার যত বেশি মানে যত বেশি সেরোটোনিন পাবে ওরা তত বেশি লোকাস্ট এক জায়গাতে অ্যাকুমুলেট হবে। এবং
Exactly.
যেটা যখন সোয়াম তৈরি করছে ওরা তখন মানে কোন লোকাস্ট আর কি সেই সোয়ার্মের বাইরে যেতে চায় না, কারণ ওদের একটা স্ট্র্যাটেজি হচ্ছে যে স্টে উইথ দ্য প্যাক অর বিকাম ফুড। মানে ওরা যদি আলাদা আলাদা হয়ে যায় তাহলে ওরা কোনো প্রিডিটারের খাবার হয়ে যাবে। তো ওরা যখন
Exactly.
সোয়ামে থাকবে তখন ওরা সবসময় চেষ্টা করবে যে একরকম একসঙ্গেই থাকার। আর যত ওরা এগিয়ে যাবে তত ওরা মানে খাবারটা এক জায়গা থেকে অন্য জায়গায় মাইগ্রেট করবে খাবারের জন্য। আর
And this
ফিডিং
is
গ্রাউন্ডের জন্য।
genetically imprinted right from
হ্যাঁ
birth.
হ্যাঁ
Imprinted in their behavior. Okay, Amlan, অনেক টাইম হলো, so let's go to the next speaker, Konkona.
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
Yeah, welcome. Konkona, start your talk.
Okay, sir. I'm presenting my screen.
Yes, yes, please.
Sir, is my screen visible?
No, your screen is not yet visible. Present your screen now. Present now. Go there. Now it's present. It's visible. It's visible.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, I'm starting. Good morning, respected professors and all my friends present over here. I am Konkona Singhorai of 4th semester from Postgraduate Department of Zoology. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to explore on my topic of entomoceuticals. Insects are our ubiquitous neighbors, though usually villainized, are in fact our best friends in many ways. Other than being a source of food, clothes, and dyes, insects are also a massive potential source for medicines. While the pharmaceutical industry has looked towards nature for medicinal inspiration, mostly botanicals have been assessed while leaving animal life, in particular insects. Insect and man has been kindred together since from the evolutionary times. The use of insects and insect-derived products for treating human diseases is called entomotherapy. The integration of the traditional knowledge of entomotherapy with modern scientific touch will yield insect products for curing various types of diseases. It is time for us to tap these entomoceuticals. Using of insects for medicinal purposes is having very long history since from early civilization like Egyptian and Greek civilization to till 21st century. The father of surgery in India, Susruta, is reported to have used ant mandible as biodegradable sutures. Odhya, in his massive compendium, has enlisted a huge number of arthropods being used in traditional medicinal system in India, and the diversity can be gauged by the very fact that in a single state of Chhattisgarh, over 500 species of insects and arachnids are used by over 3,500 healers. Dioscorides in Materia Medica states that grasshoppers in a suffumigation relief under a dysury, especially such as an incident to the female sex, and that Locusta africana is a good antidote for scorpion poison. The native population of Native America is known to extensively use insects as medicines. Now, I have tried to enlist a few examples of major order of insects. In Brazil, the hind legs of common cricket are used to treat dandruff, asthma, eczema, earache, vomits in children. Rice leaf greenhopper Nephothetix nigropictus is used to treat diseases such as gonorrhea by applying a freshly crushed paste of green leaf hoppers to the affected area. In the Indian states of Manipur, nymphs and adults of Grylotalpa orientalis are used as well as roasted for asthma, sprain, and external infections. Oils from several bugs is used in Mexico to treat skin diseases caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, while mealybugs are boiled until a sticky mass and used for treatment as varying from lesions and burns to clean teeth. Even the bed bug is used for reducing pain and inflammation in the extremities. Ammonia-like fumes produced by rubbing weaver ant, Aesophila smaragdina, is inhaled by Tamil laborers in India to relieve symptoms of common cold. Tribal people in Koraput district of Orissa eat the brood of Aesophila smaragdina to keep the body and mind cool in hot summer and utilize the workers as food so as to improve their eyesight. The houseflies are crushed and applied directly to the boils. Tsetse fly paste is applied to the bites of tsetse fly itself after making an incision so as to protect the person from sleeping sickness, perhaps a crude precursor to vaccine production. Blister beetles have been used by the Chinese for removing warts and cancer treatment, and by the Greeks for enhancing sexual libido. Larvae of the flower beetle, Protetia brevitarsis, have been used to treat hepatic cancer, liver cirrhosis, breast cancer, and inflammatory disease in Asia. Ant medicine used by Chinese for treating many liver-related problems like chronic hepatitis as aphrodisiac for both men and women. Ant as suture mandibles of ant belonging to the genus Arcta, Camponotus aceton are used as natural sutures for stitching the wounds in South America, Europe, Mediterranean, and Indian region. Cantharidin is a terpenoid derived from the bodies of beetles such as Myla brisfalirata cicori. Excrement of Bombyx larva used to improve blood circulation and elevate the symptoms of cholera. Silkworm rubella, silkworm used for treating tonsillitis, silk used for spams and floatants in China, silk hydrogels used to treat breast cancer. Incidences of uses of maggot flies, usually blowflies, in particular Lucilia sericata for healing wounds, can be traced back to the Middle Ages as well as to many parts of the world. Fly larvae are able to abate the healing of wounds via larval secretion that aided breakage of fibronectin and collagen into smaller fragments which promote fibroblast aggregation and tissue repair, consumption of necrotic tissue, release of antibacterial substances, and destruction of ingested bacteria. Apitherapy is a medical concept based on scientific foundations, corroborating traditional knowledge including bee production, procedure aimed at medical developments, transformation of hive product procedure alone or in association with medicinal plants and their derivatives, and clinical protocols incorporating the use of apipharmacopoeia or the bee's apimedicine. Bee venom is a compound containing immunoreceptive and neuroactive peptide enzyme glucose, fructose, and water. Owing to this anti-inflammatory nature, it is being used as cure for arthritis, multiple sclerosis, as well as pain. The application of it ranges from the more refined to the crude. Honey has traditionally been regarded as a medicine or tonic rather than an everyday food. Honey has also been used as a cure for many infectious diseases, skin conditions such as dermatitis and dandruff, gastrointestinal disorders, and allergic rhinitis. Though honey composition varies with bee species as well as floral characteristic, yet it always possesses antioxidant and antimicrobial properties. Royal jelly secreted from the mandibular and hypopharyngeal glands of the worker bees is extensively used in Oriental medicine. It is known to stimulate production of collagen and bone and restore estrogenic properties. Pollen is certainly very important in the nutrition of honeybees, and some people make great claims for nutritional value of pollen. It contains around 30% protein, including all amino acids, essential for human diets, a full spectrum of vitamins and minerals, trace elements, hormone precursors, carbohydrates, and fatty acids. Propolis contain the gums and resin bees collect from plants, and in many cases, these compounds are the plant's own response to injury, or otherwise protecting the plants from predators and pathogens. Insect venom or defense chemicals hold great medicinal potential. Bee venom is one such potential medicine, which is anti-inflammatory with modulation of pain perception. Injection of bee venom are becoming increasingly commonplace in alternative medicine. Another venom that has great potential is the ant venom, which is anti-complement and used in treatment of arthritis. Isolated venom compounds such as melittin, apamine, and adulapine were found to be anti-inflammatory and also being individually used as medicines. Mastroporan 1, a component of hornet venom, is anti-inflammatory as well as antimicrobial. Recent research demonstrates that social insects possess well-developed immune system and disease resistance ability. Antibiotics produced by the paired metapleural glands of ants are secreted externally and provide protection against pathogenic bacteria and fungi. Insects thus seem to harbor massive medicinal potential that can be harnessed to revolutionize medicine in years to come. Antibiotics derived from insects have shown their immense efficacy against MRSA, which is currently the bane of doctors the world over. In a time when most existing medicines are reaching their sell-by date, a huge influx of new potent chemicals can be obtained from insects. The age of antibiotics can now be replaced by the age of entomoceuticals. Now, I have enlisted here some important references from which I have taken help. Now, I would like to express my gratitude towards Dr. Sangeeta Lahiri ma'am, Sri Raja Mukherjee sir for giving me immense support. I would like to thank Sri Raja Mukherjee sir who have helped and inspired me a lot with this wonderful topic. I would also like to acknowledge our principal sir and HOD sir of my department. Thank you.
Thank you, Konkona. Nice seminar, very nice seminar. And now this topic is open for discussion.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Konkona, excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay. So my first question is that, what is the therapeutic use of scorpion venom? Do you know?
Therapeutic use of scorpion venom, it can be used in curing arthritis or multiple sclerosis. Mainly the venoms are used in treating multiple sclerosis.
Another disease? Another disease?
Another disease?
It is osteoporosis.
Osteoporosis, yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me the name of one Indian scientist who is working in this field?
With this apitherapy concept or any other entomoceutical concept?
No, on this entomoceuticals. Anybody from West Bengal?
From West
Actually, you
Bengal.
should know, whenever you are doing any kind of dissertation on any topic, you should know the man behind that discovery. This is very important. Okay. Another suggestion is that whenever you are working on a dissertation topic, your references should be updated.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And you are citing the references for 2005, 2006, 15 years ago. Huh?
Okay, sir.
You can see each and every day science is progressing.
Yes,
so
sir.
you should incorporate the recent references.
Yes, sir. Right, sir.
So the name is Professor Anthony Gomes from University of Calcutta. He's working at the Department of Physiology. He's a renowned scientist. He has first time established that the scorpion venom benefit osteoporotic progression in mice model. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. I think, do you know the application of silk fiber in tissue engineering?
Application, yes, please sir, repeat. Application of?
Silk fiber in tissue engineering. Do you know what is tissue engineering?
No, sir, I have no idea in that tissue engineering.
But you said that silk fibers are used in for anti-cancer,
Sir,
means
only I have mentioned the diseases in which it can be used, but I have not seen the methods
yes,
which
you
it is
should know.
elaborated. Okay,
Yes,
sir.
because your presentation was very nice.
Thank you,
But
sir.
these things, I think, you should incorporate in your
Okay,
future
okay, sir.
presentation. Okay.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Konkona. Very good talk. It is these are just simply criticism to make you better. No way these are going to affect your marks. Just in
No, sir, I
Exactly.
don't. Thank
Exactly.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Exactly.
in very just suggestions to improve
Yes,
your
sir.
ways, because
No, sir, I should know that. Okay, yes, sir.
even
No, no.
today whenever I am presenting, I am learning. Even with
Yes,
this
sir.
new technology, I am still learning. It's a process of learning. When you are doing in a small screen, when you're giving a presentation in a webinar and a real seminar conference, there are two different strategies which you follow. In webinar, one thing which I've observed, my observation, I'm telling you, as less as possible and as large as possible. Okay, because most
Yes,
of them
sir.
are on mobile phones. So on one slide, you have to give as less possible, and that thing should be as large as possible. But when you're
Yes.
giving a conference, when there is a huge screen, something if you enlarge too much, that looks a huge and gigantic. Rather, you can make it small and you can increase the size of the letters and fonts. And so there are different subtle differences, which it's a process of learning. Even I am learning. When I started all these presentations and classes, even during just with the beginning of lockdown, at that time it was terrible. I myself did not find any satisfaction of taking classes. But after and gradually, when I started to learn some techniques, now I'm able to do some sort of things. It's improving. It's a phase of learning throughout. So these are all
Yes, sir.
criticisms how to improve. It's in no
Yes,
way
sir.
it's, commenting saying that your presentation was not good. It was very good. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Next person, Partho Pratim De. Partho, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, start করবো?
Sure. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Parthopatim De, MSc 4th semester student of Zoology under Kazi Nazrul University. I am thankful to my respected teacher to present my slide preparation about semiochemical in insect. Today, my discussion point will be on semiochemical. Insects are enormous user of chemical signals between same or different species. Semiochemical are organic compounds used by insects to convey specific chemical messages that modify behavior and physiology. It can be used by insects for the purpose of sexual intercourse, alarm, trail, and caste regulation. Let's talk about the term semiochemical, which derived from the Greek word semon, stand for signal. So semiochemical means chemical signal. The term was first coined by A.A. Buchanan in 1959 from Bombay Mori. Let's see, semiochemical belongs to which order? Semiochemicals are produced by majority of the endopterygote order, exopterygote order, and apterygote order. Endopterygote orders include Coleoptera, Diptera, Lepidoptera. Exopterygote order include Orthoptera, Hemiptera. Apterygote orders are Diplura and Collembola. Now these are the different types of semiochemical in a tabulated form, where you can see semiochemical are classified into two main categories, pheromone and allilochemical. Further, they are divided into many groups. Now we will further discuss about the different types of semiochemical in detail. The term pheromone is derived from the Greek word pherin, which means to carry, and the hormone, which means to stimulate. Pheromone are compound used by insects for the interspecific communication. On the other hand, allilochemical, which mediated interspecific communication. There are mainly two types of pheromones, releaser pheromones and primer pheromone. Releaser pheromone can cause alternation in the behavior of the recipient. In this type of pheromone elicits a rapid response. Drosophila is a great example of releaser pheromone. Primer pheromone mediates a physiological change in the receiver. It's noticed in honeybee colony. Further, releaser pheromone are 6 types. First types are sex pheromone. Sex pheromone released by an organism to attract an opposite sex and encourage them to mate with them. Sex pheromone are generally three types. Sometimes sex pheromone produced by female Bombyx mori. Sometimes sex pheromone produced by male, Lycoria cerestrus butterfly, and sometimes sex pheromone that attract both sexes. Example, male bark beetle. Next type, aggregation pheromone. Aggregation pheromone helps to aggregate the individual, and in this type of pheromone produced by adult of the both sexes, bark beetle aggregation is noticed. Another type, marking pheromone. In this type of marking pheromone, mark the oviposition site or discover quality of the food resources. Marking pheromone are secreted by females of apple maggot fly, and marking pheromone released by endocrine or exocrine gland of an insect. Another type, tail pheromone. Many social insects use pheromone to mark their tail, and particularly to food and the nest. Tail pheromone are volatile and short-lived. It is found in ants. Next type, anti-aphrodisiac pheromone. This type of pheromone found only Lepidoptera hair male release pheromone during mating and reduce the attractiveness of the female. Alarm pheromone. Alarm pheromone are released in response to danger, then increase the level of alertness, aggressive postures. Alarm pheromone noticed in bees and wasp colony. Similarly, allelochemicals are generally three types. First types are allomones. Allomones are the chemical released any one organism that induces a particular response to an individual of other species. Responses will be adaptively favorable to emitter. Allomones are generally two types. Endogenous allomone, this allomone produced within the body. The Romatia microptera butterfly, which releases toxic froth from its mouth. Exogenous allomone. This type of allomone are not produced inside the body. It is collected from the foreign body and use them for the defensive purpose. For example, caterpillar of the pine supply cigarette exogenous allomone. Next type, cinnamones. Cinnamones are beneficial to both producer and recipient. For example, pine trees are damaged by beetle, often emit terpenes that attack parasitoid insect that parasites the pest beetle. Last type is chiromone, where chiro means opportunities. These are the chemical released any one organism that induces a particular response to an individual of other species. The response adaptively favorable to recipient. Blood taking from the vertebrate by mosquito are the great example of chiromone. Now, when it comes to semiochemical, we should know about the term Ferrobase. Ferrobase is a freely accessible database of semiochemical. The main objective of Ferrobase is to convert scientific data and knowledge from the literature. A list with biochemical structure, occurrence of semiochemical, 8,000 semiochemicals. So we can call Ferrobase as a dictionary of the semiochemical. Here some semiochemical synthesizing glands are present. Venom producing gland, Richard gland, pygidial gland, and frontal gland. Semiochemical has great importance in IPM. Semiochemical have been used for insect pest management more than 100 years ago. Insect sex pheromone are the semiochemical that are widely used for the management of the insect pest. Here some advantage and disadvantage are listed below. Advantage, the use of broad spectrum pesticide is reduced. Biological control is not affected because semiochemical don't adversely affect parasite and predators. Disadvantages are lack of basic knowledge about insect chemical communication and lack of detailed field evaluation. Here we know about semiochemical based pest control technique. These are attract and kill, mating, disruption, and insect traps. Several types of insect traps are used. These are adhesive, pan, bucket, and crossband traps. At the end of this presentation, I would like to say semiochemical is the chemical messenger of an insect. Chemical communication plays an important role of the survival of the insect, enable them to modify of their behavior. It also become pioneer to a new way of pest management involving researches and discovery of new semiochemical and their field application. I would like to express my gratitude to Kazi Nazrul University and all the departmental teachers for guidance and support. And I also like to thank Dr. Arnab Ganguly sir and Sangeeta Laidi madam and Sri Raja Mukherjee sir for their constant support. I took references from RF Chapman, Mark Clouden, and others on Google site. Thanks for your kind attention.
Thank you, Partho. Maintaining the time excellently. All participants are requested to maintain their time. It is very important in any conference. So this topic is for discussion, open for discussion.
Partho,
Yes, sir.
very good and very enriched presentation. So
Thank you, sir.
you said that pheromones are the chemical messengers. Can you tell me the mechanism of action of any pheromone?
Sir, sex pheromone, sir, So sex pheromone bombix, sex pheromone released, sex pheromone are generally three types. It is when it is produced by female, that females of bombix mori releases the sex pheromone which is known as bombical. Rather, bombix mori sex pheromone are released by the abdominal sac, and when it is released and encourage the male of the bombix mori to mate with them.
So what is the mechanism? What is the cellular mechanism?
মানে কি রিসেপ্টরে, কোন রিসেপ্টরে কি বাইন্ড করছে এটা জিজ্ঞেস করছে।
Exactly.
স্যার এন্ডোজেনাস এর ক্ষেত্রে বোম্বার্ডিয়ার বিটেল যেটা আছে সেটা সেটার ক্ষেত্রে স্যার এক ধরনের ডিফেন্সিভ একটা কাজ করছে, যে যাদের এদের একটা গ্ল্যান্ড থাকে অ্যাবডোমিনাল গ্ল্যান্ডের কাছে, যে একটা গ্ল্যান্ড থাকে, সেই গ্ল্যান্ডের থেকে এটা দুটো গ্ল্যান্ডের পার্ট থাকে, একটা পার্টে H2O2 এবং হাইড্রোকুইনন থাকে, এবং অ্যানাদার পার্টে দুই ধরনের এনজাইম লক্ষ্য করা যায়, একটা হচ্ছে ক্যাটালাইজ এনজাইম, একটা পার অক্সিডাইজ এনজাইম। ক্যাটালাইজ এনজাইমটা স্যার H2O2 কে ব্রেক করে পার অক্সিডাইজে এবং অক্সিডাইজ করে হাইড্রোকুইননকে এবং ফর্মিং এ কেমিক্যাল কম্পোনেন্ট দ্যাট ইজ নোন অ্যাজ বেঞ্জিকুইনন, এবং এটার ফলে তারা গিভ রাইজ করে টেম্পারেচারকে 100 ডিগ্রি সেন্টিগ্রেড। দ্যাট ইজ
আচ্ছা বল, সেলুলার না ইন্টারসেলুলার?
কোনটা স্যার?
ইনসেক্ট ফেরোমনের যে রিসেপ্টর আছে সেগুলো কি এক্সট্রা সেলুলার না ইন্টারসেলুলার?
এন্ডোজেনাস স্যার, এটা তো বডির মধ্যে, ইনসেক্টটা বডির মধ্যে তৈরি হচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ, ইনসেক্টটা বডির মধ্যে তৈরি, কিন্তু আরেকটা ইনসেক্ট তো তাকে সেন্স করতে পারবে না, পারবে তো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
তাহলে সেই
সেলুলার হয়
স্যার
ইন্টারসেলুলার হচ্ছে
ইন্টারসেলুলার রিসেপ্টর স্যার।
আর আরেকটা যে আরেকটা ইনসেক্ট যে সেন্স করছে তাকে, ওটা ওই ফেরোমনটাকে, এই যে অ্যাট্রাক্ট হবে, ওরা আইপিএম এ যে আমরা ইউজ করবো এটাকে, ওরা যে অ্যাট্রাক্ট হবে, সে অ্যাট্রাক্ট হওয়ার জন্য তো কোনো একটা রিসেপ্টরে বাইন্ড করতে হবে। আমি সেটাই জানতে চাইছিলাম।
নো স্যার, আমি স্যার জানি না স্যার।
ডেটাবেস কাকে বলে বল? তুই বললি ফেরোবেস হচ্ছে ফেরোমনসের ডেটাবেস, তাহলে হোয়াট ডু ইউ মিন বাই ডেটাবেস?
স্যার ডেটাবেস
ফেরোমন
কালেকশন, স্যার ইনফরমেশনের কালেকশনটাকে ডেটাবেস বলে, যেটা মানে অর্গানাইজ করা আছে, ইজিলি অ্যাক্সেস এবং ম্যানেজড, এবং যেটা আপডেটেড থাকছে সব সময়।
আচ্ছা, তাহলে একজন রিসার্চার এই ফেরোমনের যে ডেটাবেস থেকে কি কি ইনফরমেশন সে পেতে পারে?
স্যার একজন রিসার্চার
ফেরোমনের যে
পেতে পারে
কি কি ইনফরমেশন পেতে পারে?
স্যার এইখানে ডেটাবেসের যে মেইন অবজেক্টিভ আছে সেটা হচ্ছে স্যার টু কনভার্ট দ্য সায়েন্টিফিক ডাটা এন্ড নলেজ ফ্রম দ্য লিটারেচার এন্ড পাবলিশ পিয়ার রিভিউড ইনফরমেশন অ্যাবাউট দ্য ডিএনএ।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, এই ফেরোবেস ছাড়া ওয়াইডলি ইউজ কোনো বায়োলজিক্যাল ডেটাবেসের নাম বলতে পারবি?
নো স্যার।
জানি
করেছো আমার পেপারে তো সব
স্যার এনসিবিএস এর ওই ব্লাস্টেড ডেটাবেস।
হ্যাঁ,
আমি ভাবছিলাম স্যার সিমিও কেমিক্যালের মধ্যে।
না ঠিক আছে,
তুই পারবি, আমি জানি তুই পড়াশোনা করিস।
স্যার আমি স্যার ভাবলাম সিমিও কেমিক্যালের জন্য, সেই জন্য স্যার আমি ফেরোবেস ছাড়া অন্য কোনো ডেটাবেস জানি
না,
না।
মাথায় তখন ফেরোমনই ঘুরছে, কিন্তু তোমার আরো ইম্পর্টেন্ট।
না স্যার অ্যাসাইনমেন্ট করেছিলাম ব্লাস্টের উপরে স্যার, ওইখানে
ব্লাস্ট করেছো তো, তোমরা করেছো তো, ইটস এ হিউজ ডেটাবেস। তুমি একটা সিক্রেট দিলে, সেটা তোমার হোল ডেটাবেস থেকে ম্যাচ বের করে দিল ইনফরমেশন, তুমি জেনে গেলে জিনিসটা কি।
আচ্ছা, শেষ প্রশ্ন, এনসিবিআই ফুল ফর্মটা বল, ব্যাস দিয়ে শেষ কর।
স্যার এনসিবিআই,
হ্যাঁ হয়েছে, খেয়েছে
স্যার ন্যাশনাল সেন্টার ফর বায়োটেকনোলজি ইনফরমেশন।
হ্যাঁ, বায়োটেকনোলজিক্যাল ইনফরমেশন, ঠিক আছে।
কোন ন্যাশনাল?
হ্যাঁ স্যার,
কোন ন্যাশনাল বললে এটা কোন নেশনের কথা বলা হচ্ছে?
কোন নেশন? হ্যাঁ
স্যার ইউএসএ মে।
ফ্যান্টাস্টিক, ভেরি গুড একদম পারফেক্ট।
দেখবি ওর এক্সটেনশনটা আছে NIH ডট
ন্যাশনাল ইনস্টিটিউট অফ হেলথ।
ন্যাশনাল ইনস্টিটিউট অফ হেলথ। ঠিক, ভেরি গুড পারতো।
ঠিক আছে, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
পরে আসছে প্রিয়াঙ্কা।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, গিয়ে অন, আমি রেডি হচ্ছি, জানেন স্যার, 1 মিনিট।
প্রিয়াঙ্কার পরে সঞ্চারী ব্যানার্জি রেডি হয়ে যাবে, তারপরে শ্রেয়া মিত্র।
স্যার আপনি স্ক্রিনটা দেখতে পাচ্ছেন স্যার আপনারা?
হ্যাঁ
হ্যালো
দেখতে
স্যার।
হ্যাঁ দেখতে পাচ্ছি।
আচ্ছা স্যার, হ্যাঁ স্যার ঠিক। Good morning, sir. Myself, Priyanka Mondal, a student of PG Department Zoology of BB College. I am thankful to KNU for introducing this dissertation as a compulsory in the postgraduate syllabus of zoology. Today, I will represent insect survival strategy in insect. Let's go to the topic. At first, we will know that what do insects require for survival. Requirements are food, water, shelter, predator defense, reproduction. Next, talk about some adaptational strategies in insect which help to survive. The strategies are migration, diapause, cold hardiness, parthenogenesis, polymorphism, biparental care, hygienic behavior, etc. Migration. It involves displacement of entire population. The word migration is referred to movements of insect in a direction or a distance over which they have control and which result is a temporary or permanent change of habitat. Migration is usually seasonal. The triggers for the migration may be local climate or seasonal change, local availability for food, for mating reasons, temperature adjustment, etc. Example, monarch butterflies migrate from Canada and United States to Mexico. Next slide we will discuss about the diapause and cold hardiness. Diapause. It is the period of arrested growth or the development in the life cycle of insect during which the physiological process like differentiation and reproduction are suspended. Diapause are represented by the low rate of metabolism, low oxygen consumption, low body water content, and vitamin deficiency in the blood. Diapause may occur in egg, larva, nymph, pupa, or adult stage. As for example, egg diapause found in Bombyx mori. The occurrence of diapause during summer due to high temperature is known as aestivation, whereas the period of inactivity during winter due to low temperature known as hibernation. Other consideration of diapause J is usually involved. Egg digestion usually suppressed. Diapause two types: obligatory diapause, which found in many unvolatile insects, and facultative diapause found in multivolatile species. The influencing factors are temperature, moisture, environmental chemistry, food. Next slide. Cold hardiness. Since insects are poikilotherms, their body temperature is usually similar to that of air around them. Species live in cold mountain streams like mayfly gnats are adapted for activity at low temperature. Most other insects, however, slow down as the temperature falls. They reach a dormant state called torpor or quiescent when they get very cold. Physiologically, many insects prepare for winter weather by producing antifreeze compounds such as glycerol, sorbitol in their hemolymph and body tissue. Cold hardiness found in Asian lady beetle. Talk about the next topic: survival strategy, parthenogenesis, and polymorphism. Parthenogenesis, a form of reproduction in which the ovum develops into a new individual without fertilization. Natural parthenogenesis has been observed the aphid, honeybee, etc. Polymorphism, marked differences in appearance or behavior within the same species. It is based on individual size, types of figure variation, etc. Example: adults, eggs, larvae, pupae of aphid. Next strategy: parental care. Any pattern of behavior in which parental spends time or energy to improve the survival conditions and future reproductive success of offspring. Care can be given at any stage: parental care and postnatal stage. Parental stage, it's found in a during pregnancy, guarding eggs, building nets, carrying broods, etc. Postnatal stage, providing food, protecting offspring, teaching offspring, etc. Next slide. Insects face constant danger from enemies that are predators, parasites, parasitoids, pathogens, etc. Next, we will discuss about defense mechanism of insect. Here, defense systems are two types: primary defense and secondary defense. Primary defense, mimicry, coloration, crypsis are belong to the primary defense, and secondary defense are chemical defense, attacking hairs. These are shown here. Next, let's go to the topic. Mimicry. Mimicry are two types: Batesian mimicry and Mullerian mimicry. It is the protective mimicry in which a species that is edible or harmless closely resembles an edible or harmful species and therefore is avoided by predators. Mullerian mimicry occurs which two or more detestable or poisonous organisms resemble each other. Let's talk about the next slide. We will discuss about the coloration and crypsis. Camouflage or coloration. Katydids are nocturnal insects which use their cryptic coloration to remain unnoted during the day. When they are inactive, they remain perfectly still, often in a position that makes them blend in even after. Crypsis against visual predators. Mimesis, resembling an object that is a specific features of its environment. Talk about the topic secondary defense and chemical defense. Secondary defense is a type. The chemical defense is a type of secondary defense. Predator may develop a search image. Here, this type of defense are various types, such as chemical defense are two types: class 1 chemicals, class 2 chemicals. Class 1 chemicals are toxic, noxious, potent, both immediate acting and delayed effects, specific against vertebrate predators, often accompanied with aposemistazine. Class 2 chemicals are innocuous antefident chemicals. Volatile, it is a volatile, specifically against invertebrate predators, etc. Next defense type, articating hairs and envenomation. Articating hairs are found in caterpillars. And envenomation are found in bees, wasps, and ants' venom. Next, thanatosis and autotomy. Thanatosis are many beetle and weevils being dead, which is form of defense against a predator. As for example, click beetle, it's under a family Elateridae. And autotomy. Shedding of limbs. Many insects can shed a limb when faced with danger. Phasmatodea is the only insect order that can regenerate limbs after shedding. Next slide is the startle display and modified body parts. Startle display. It is basically startle display is a one type of secondary defense. As for example, Arctia casa displays startling bright pattern of black spot on orange rain hind wings. The insect is bitter tasting, so the pattern may be aposematic as well as diasematic. Modified body parts are features of modified body parts: spines, cases, circuses, faces, waxes, etc. After all our discussion of insect survival strategies, we can get some conclusions that they have high reproductive rates and numerous behavioral and physiological adaptations that assure them a fair fight in the struggle for survival. I am thankful to Kachi Nazrul University for introducing this review work as a compulsory training in the PGD syllabus of zoology. I would like to take this opportunity to express my profound gratitude and deep regard to my project guide, Professor Arnab Ganguly, for his exemplary guidance, valuable feedback, and constant encouragement throughout the duration of the project. His valuable suggestions were of immense help throughout my project work. Working under him was an extremely knowledgeable experience for me. We will refer some books and some internet sites which are shown here. Thanks all of you.
Thank you, Priyanka. Two things you have mentioned wrong. Arnab Ganguly did not guide you. And the second thing is Kazi Nazrul University did not introduce this course. First is this was introduced, it was present in the curriculum of Bardhaman University before, where KNU kept the syllabus. And the second thing is Arnab Ganguly only is hosting this, and it was Raja Mukherjee and Dr. Shongida Lai.
স্যার নামগুলো মেনশন করা আছে বিকজ কিন্তু টাইমটা যেহেতু কম আছে সেই জন্য স্যার মানে আমি নামগুলো মেনশন করলাম না, বাট অ্যাকনলেজমেন্টে প্রত্যেকের নাম মেনশন করা আছে।
আমার নামটা মেনশন না করলেও চলতো, কারণ আমি তো তোমাকে কিছুই বোঝাইনি, বুঝিয়েছে তো যা করেছে। আর
রাজাদা হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ সঙ্গীতা দি ম্যামরাই বলেছেন, কিন্তু
you should have mentioned their contributions. Okay, but it was a very good seminar, and this is open for discussion.
প্রিয়াঙ্কা,
হ্যাঁ স্যার,
ভেরি গুড প্রেজেন্টেশন। তোর স্লাইড গুলো খুব ভালো হয়েছে, আমার এটা খুব মানে এত স্লাইড দেখলাম, স্লাইড গুলো খুব ভালো হয়েছে। হ্যাঁ অবশ্যই অর্ণব দাকে তো থ্যাঙ্কফুল মানে থ্যাঙ্ক দিতেই হবে আর কি।
হ্যাঁ উনি তো আর কি হেড, সেই জন্য
একদম
হ্যাঁ।
এত
আর
সুন্দর
তারপরে
ভাবে
স্যার
কোঅর্ডিনেট
মানে
করছে।
অ্যাকচুয়ালি সবার নামটা সবার নামটা মেনশন করলাম না, যেহেতু স্যার 8 মিনিট টাইম, তো টাইমটা এক্সিট করলো, তো আমারটা সেই জন্য আর কি।
তাদেরকে মেনশন করবে।
হ্যাঁ,
Acknowledgement is
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ স্যার, হ্যাঁ
something where you
স্যার,
have to
হ্যাঁ
do it.
পরের বার থেকে করবো
What
অবশ্যই।
did Arnab Ganguly
হ্যাঁ
do?
স্যার,
He did nothing to you. তোমার টপিকটাও কি জানতাম না। মেন থিং,
হ্যাঁ,
বি
হ্যাঁ,
অনেস্ট অ্যাবাউট ইট।
এগুলো খেয়াল রাখি। ঠিক আছে, আচ্ছা অ্যান্টিফ্রিজ প্রোটিনের কথা বললি, তো অ্যান্টিফ্রিজ প্রোটিনের ফাংশন কি, মানে মেকানিজম অফ ফাংশন কি, কিভাবে কাজ করে অ্যান্টিফ্রিজ প্রোটিন গুলো?
অ্যান্টি ফ্রিজিং, ওটা তো কি বলে, অ্যান্টি ফ্রিজিং, আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, অ্যান্টি ফ্রিজিং যেটা ছিল ওটা ওই যে গ্লিসারল সরবিটল যেসব যে কম্পাউন্ডস গুলো আছে, কেমিক্যাল কম্পাউন্ডস গুলো, সেগুলো মানে যে ওদের ইনসেক্টের যে ব্লাড হিমোলিম্ফ, সেটা আর বডি টিস্যুর মধ্যে ওটা কি বলে, মানে ফাংশন, মানে আর কি হিমোলিম্ফের সঙ্গে মানে কাজ, মানে
না, ওটা ফাংশনটা
ইয়ে
জানতে
করে।
হবে। আর ইনসেক্টের থার্মোরেগুলেশনের কথাও বললি, তাহলে ইনসেক্টের থার্মোরেগুলেশনের মেজর পাথওয়ে কি? হোয়াট ইজ দ্য মেজর পাথওয়ে ইনভলভ ইন দ্য থার্মোরেগুলেশন অফ ইনসেক্টস, মোস্ট অফ দ্য ইনসেক্টস?
থার্মোরেগুলেশন স্যার একবার বুঝলাম না, একবার রিপিট করুন, একবার
এই যে
কোশ্চেনটা বুঝতে পারলাম না।
ইনসেক্টের যে থার্মোরেগুলেশন হয়, সেই থার্মোরেগুলেশনটা কিভাবে হয়, কোন মলিকুলার পাথওয়ে দিয়ে হয়? কোনো মেটাবলিক পাথওয়ে ইনভলভমেন্ট আছে যেখান দিয়ে ও টেম্পারেচারটাকে কন্ট্রোল করতে হবে? তো একটা এক্সাম্পল দিলাম আমি, সে হানিবি। হানিবি কিভাবে কন্ট্রোল করে?
মলিকিউলার পাথওয়ে রেগুলার টেম্পারেচার পে করছে, তো কন্ডাকশন প্রসেস অফ থার্মোরেগুলেশন বলতে পারছি না স্যার। ও কিন্তু মানে অ্যাকচুয়ালি ওরা তো হোমিওস্ট্যাসিস হয়, সেই মানে ফাংশন না, মলিকুলার মেকানিজম বলতে পারবো না স্যার, মানে এতটা ডেপথ পড়িনি আর কি।
এগুলো তো পড়েছিস আগে, বায়োকেমিস্ট্রির সঙ্গে এটা অনেক যোগাযোগ আছে ইনসেক্টের মধ্যে।
হ্যাঁ
ম্যাক্সিমাম
ভুলে গেছি।
ইনসেক্ট বায়ো, এটা হচ্ছে আনকাপলিং প্রসেস। এখানে আনকাপলার থাকে, হ্যাঁ, ফিউটাইল রিঅ্যাকশন
আচ্ছা,
বলে, মানে এনার্জি সিনথেসিস হয় উইদাউট কাপলিং টু এটিপি প্রোডাকশন। ঠিক আছে, এনার্জি সিনথেসিস হয় এইভাবে। হানিবিতে তো এইভাবে, বিভিন্ন ইনসেক্টে ম্যাক্সিমাম ক্ষেত্রে এইভাবে কন্ট্রোল হয়। ওকে, আচ্ছা একজন ওয়ার্ল্ড ফেমাস ইন্ডিয়ান সায়েন্টিস্টের নাম বল, যে এই ফিল্ডে যেগুলো দেখালি, এই ইনসেক্ট ইকোলজির ফিল্ডে যিনি কাজ করছেন ইন্ডিয়াতে।
মানে মানে ইনসেক্ট নিয়ে কাজ করছে?
ইনসেক্টের এই যে যেগুলো দেখালি, এই সমস্ত,
হ্যাঁ,
নাম বল তার। ইনসেক্ট ইকোলজির একজন রিনাউন্ড সায়েন্টিস্ট ফ্রম ইন্ডিয়া, নাম বল একজনের।
ইন্ডিয়াতে? ইন্ডিয়াতে ভাই কে আছেন, এক মিনিট দাঁড়ান। ইন্ডিয়াতে এখানে ছিল যেটা রিনাউন্ড সায়েন্টিস্টের মধ্যে, ইয়ে মহাদেবা সুব্রমণিয়ামানি,
উনি কোথায় আছেন?
একটা নাম লিখেছিলাম না খাতাতে। এটা যেহেতু সুব্রমণ্যম, এটা মনে হয় সাউথ সাইডেরই নাম, মানে উনি হয়তো সাউথ সাইডেই আর কি, যেহেতু সুব্রমণ্যম নামটা সাউথ সাইডে,
ইনসেক্টস,
সাউথেরই মানে আর কি, সাউথ ইন্ডিয়ান।
হ্যাঁ, এই যেগুলো দেখালি না।
হ্যাঁ
আচ্ছা, তুমি সাউথের নন, ওটা তুমি তোমার বের করে নিও উনি কোথাকার।
আচ্ছা, এই যে ওয়ার্ডসের বায়োলজি দেখালি বা যেগুলো দেখালি ইনসেক্ট, এগুলো
হ্যাঁ।
ম্যাক্সিমাম কাজ হচ্ছে প্রফেসর রাঘবেন্দ্র গাদাতকারের। ঠিক আছে, হি ইজ ফ্রম আইআইএসসি ব্যাঙ্গালোর। এগুলো নামগুলো জানতে
কি
হবে, আমরা
নামটা
বই।
স্যার একবার একবার নামটা
প্রফেসর
বলবেন, একবার
রাঘবেন্দ্র,
লিখে নিই।
প্রফেসর রাঘবেন্দ্র গাদাতকার। ঠিক আছে,
রাঘবেন্দ্র গাদাতকর।
ঠিক আছে, নেক্সট
হ্যাঁ
ওয়ান।
হ্যাঁ,
And next one, it was a good
থ্যাংক ইউ।
talk, very good. And keep in mind that whenever you acknowledge the right people. Don't think about the time.
ওকে
If I was not
Okay,
acknowledged, it would not have been an injustice. But the people who have
হ্যাঁ
done
স্যার।
Raja and Shongita, I don't know who among them did it. They should definitely be acknowledged. For me, I just made an opportunity for you people to give. That's fine. But
Yes.
the person who guided you, even 2 days before your term paper, they took your term papers and corrected. Always at least mention their names. Okay. Thank you. Next.
হ্যাঁ
Banerjee.
সরি স্যার। হ্যাঁ
Oh, no problem. Banerjee.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, respected teachers and my dear friends. Myself, Sanchari Banerjee of Kazi Nazrul University, is going to give a presentation on the topic sound production in insects. About 900,000 different kinds of insects are known, which contributes 80% of the world's species. These beautiful creatures communicate among themselves by emitting sound through various mechanisms. Due to their ability to produce sounds of various kinds, they are also termed as singing insects, whose songs fall within the frequency range of 2000 to 15,000 Hz. Melodic chirps and trills of crickets and high-pitched raspy squawks, buzzes, also shuffles of katydids and grasshoppers are produced due to the interaction of structures called scraper and file. Insects produce vibrational and acoustic signals for communication. Air or water serves as the medium of acoustic signal, which include both pressure wave and particle movement. Airborne sounds are often ultrasonic to human ear. On the other hand, vibrational signals are transmitted through substrate and include stridulation, percussion, and timbal mechanism. Insects generate sound through various mechanisms, which include vibration of unspecialized parts of the body, as can be seen in green lacewing. In insects of order Coleoptera and Orthoptera, sounds are emitted as a result of friction between body parts, and the mechanism is called stridulation. Percussion is seen in termites, stoneflies, etc., in which sound is produced by rubbing one part of the body against another or with the substrate. For example, soldiers of Zootrophis produce repeated taps by rocking their head up and down and by banging their mandibles on the ground. Sometimes exhalatory sounds are expelled via tracheal spiracle, which is observed in spongid moth. Cicadas rely on deformation of modified part of the cuticle to make clicking sound. This whole mechanism of sound production is assisted by sound producing organs, which include hair sensilla that has sensory function and act as sound receptor. Assistance of antennae and antennal organs in sound production have been reported in mosquitoes, where scoleophores are present as sensory unit at the base of the antennae in an expanded sac-like structure. Circle organs present at the posterior end of the abdomen in cockroaches help in sound generation through the discharge of impulses when the brush is being exposed to the sound. Tympanal organs consisting of group of scoleophores also help in sound emission in insects. In crickets and katydids, the eardrum or tympanum is located on the front leg. Here is a brief description of some of the insects that are involved in sound generation. Cicadas are the most noisy insect. Male cicadas have two special membranes called tymbals located on their abdomen, which help them in sound production. Bumblebee produces buzzing sound. What we hear is an actual disturbance in the air created by the beating of the bee's wings. The larger the bee, the slower its wings beat, and the lower is the pitch of the resulting sound. Base beetles are capable of producing 14 different sounds. Mosquitoes produce sound by vibrating their wings. Crickets make chirping sound by running the top of one wing along the other in a process known as stridulation. Richard D. Alexander carried out an observation with some beetles which produced various kinds of sounds when placed under different situations, such as squeaking sound is produced when the beetles were held between the fingers, when caught in a milkweed blossom, when placed or fallen on back. Purring sound is produced when standing motionless. Squeaking sound is also produced during copulatory and pre-copulatory activities. In this way, 9 different observations were recorded. Sound production is a phenomenon associated with neural regulation mediated by insect central nervous system. Brain receives appropriate sound pattern. Sound patterns are generated by neuromuscular activity driving the sound producing organs. Neural assemblies in the ventral nerve cord mediate this function. Patterns of muscular activity resulting in sound production are generated by pattern generators in the central nervous system. In the year 2014 and 2017, 2 new species of cicada were discovered. One in Verlem by Marathe, and it was named as Rustia minuta. The name minuta depicts its small size, and the other in Kodagu district of Karnataka, and hence the name Rustia kodagura. A new genus of katydid known as Supersonus with 3 new species also came to existence was discovered by Strathclyde and Tornoto. Vocalization in caterpillar was observed by Conrado A. Rossi Denadai et al. Yugoslavian entomologist Ivan Regan worked with few species of crickets and katydids and proved that male katydid of species Thamnotrizon apterus respond to the sound of another male by chirping, and it is dependent upon the sense of hearing. Courtship and mating, attraction, reproductive isolation, species recognition are some of the significances associated with sound production in insects. Sound production is thus an essential mechanism for communication among insects, which mediate their courtship behavior, species recognition, and many more. Cicadas are the most noisy insects. They make a noise that is atmospheric, enigmatic, and very loud. Habitat destruction for industrial development and for other purposes may prove to be fatal in long run, as every creature in this earth, including insects, play vital role in maintaining ecological balance. Thus, habitat destruction leading to disruption of their population will ultimately have a great impact on the whole ecosystem. Sometimes excessive and unrestricted use of insecticides also causes huge loss to non-target insects. Thus, emphasis should be put on sustainable development. No one in this world can survive without having proper interaction, which is directly linked with communication. Insects are no exception here. The sound production seems to be vital. Finally, I would like to take the reference of video clips to demonstrate sound production in cicadas and crickets. This is the video showing click mechanism in cicada. This is an audio-visual clip demonstrating sound production in cricket. Now, here are some references from where I have collected my data. Lastly, I would like to express my gratitude to all respected teachers of our department, to our HOD Dr. Arnab Ganguly sir, to our mentors, Dr. Sangeeta Lahiri ma'am and Sri Raja Mukherjee sir, and to respected external sir for being present here with us. With this, here I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanchari. Very beautiful presentation, and it's nice videos at the end, of course. So this topic is open for discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Sanchari, very good presentation. Very good presentation.
You,
so, what is the molecular regulation of this sound production? Because it's a physical process, but I'd like to know the molecular mechanism of the regulation.
Is there anything known about the molecular regulation?
No, sir. I don't know the molecular basis. Brain is involved in sound production. It receives the sound emitted from any kind of sound source. The brain receives the sound source from another.
No, you said that the involvement of wings. So how that wings get signals from the brain or any kind of endocrine system?
Anything known about the neuromuscular junctions of the wings?
I know about the neurotransmitter acetylcholine and nitric oxide that helps in perceiving those signals.
Right. How do they do it exactly? What's the pathway, signal transduction pathway? How do they? What are the receptors which act on these muscles?
Receptors.
Acetylcholine. You find acetylcholine. Is there some analog of adrenaline in insect?
No, with acetylcholine, I haven't read such adrenaline.
Okay, that's fine. That's it's just out of curiosity.
Okay, Sanjay, what are the applications of insect sounds?
Sir, in mankind, if I say different insects sing or call at different times and it is specific, the intensity also changes according to season and climatic conditions. So we can infer weather conditions and also sometimes can become alert of some natural calamities that are going to occur in near future. And also if by producing sound, they um, uh, with their whereabouts, we can the entomologist can predict their whereabouts by listening to their sound, and it
Okay.
may help them with the study.
That means we can consider insects as eco-sensor, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Sanjay. Next
Thank
one.
you,
Thank you,
Sanchari.
sir.
So end of
Thank
your
you,
inning
sir.
here. Okay, 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now Shreya, for your
Thank you.
sixth year,
Thank you, sir.
sixth and final year. Shreya, start your sixth and
Yes, sir.
final presentation.
Yes, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, sir. Is my slide visible, sir?
Not yet. I hope it should be visible. You go to present now.
Yes, sir.
এই তো আসছে. Yeah, fine. It's coming now.
Is my slide visible, sir?
Absolutely. Crystal clear.
Thank you, sir. Sir, may I start?
Absolutely. Go ahead, start.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Shreya Mitra, student of Kazi Nazrul University, MSc 4th semester. Registration number KNU 18001183. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my work. Today we will discuss about metamorphosis in insects and its hormonal control. The developmental process by which first instar immature stage is transformed into adult is called metamorphosis. Metamorphosis can occur slowly in some insects or abruptly in others. The insects are divided into a number of groups depending on the type of metamorphosis. A metabolous development. During this metamorphosis, our pterygote insects undergo many minor changes in form. Here, life cycle progresses from egg to juvenile to adult with several molds. Juveniles appear very similar to the adult, differs mainly in body size and genitalia. Molting continues in adult stage. All the stages have similar habitat and food habit. Examples are Lepisma, firebrats, etc. Pseudo-metabolous development. It is also known as gradual metamorphosis. The life cycle has three major stages: egg, nymph, and adult. Here, nymph resembles the adult, lack fully formed wings and external genitalia. Nymphs may be colored quite differently from adults, and they show the beginning of the wing called wing pad. All the stages have same habitat and food habit. Example, cockroach, that is Periplaneta. Hemimetabolous development. It is also known as incomplete metamorphosis. Immatures may or may not resemble adults, have external wing pad, and may have special tracheal gills. Eggs are found in or near water, and immatures are called naiads. Adults are found flying near water. They spend their life cycle in different habitats and have different food habits. Example, mayfly, dragonfly, etc. Holometabolous development. It is also known as complete metamorphosis. It is found in highly evolved insects. There are four distinct stages in life cycle: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. Larvae are very different from adults. Larvae lack compound eye, reduced antennae present. Wing development begins in early developmental stages but occurs internally from rudiments known as imaginal discs. The pupa remains in quiescent stage. Wing pads appear on pupa. Histolysis and histogenesis take place during this stage. Example, housefly, that is Musca. Hypermetamorphosis. In some insects like blister beetles or many parasitic Hymenoptera, body form, feeding behavior, and sometimes habitat change occurs during larval stage. This phenomenon is known as hypermetamorphosis. Hormonal control of metamorphosis. Three main hormones are required for this process, namely prothoracicotropic hormone, aggression, and juvenile hormone. PTTH secretes from protocerebrum of the brain and accumulate in corpora alata and released into hemolymph. In Lepidoptera, PTTH is stored in corpora cardiaca. The hemolymph with PTTH reaches prothoracic gland and stimulates secretory activity. Prothoracic gland secretes molting hormone or alpha-ecdysone, which reaches the target organ via hemolymph. Molting hormone or ecdysone is secreted from ecdysial gland. It is a steroid type of hormone. Two types of ecdysone are found in insects: alpha-ecdysone, beta-ecdysone. Ecdysone favors the development of adult structure and also the molting process. During pupal stage, ecdysone is required for the final pupal molt. Ecdysone reaches the target organ epidermis through hemolymph. The first peak of ecdysone is low in case of larval to pupal stage, but the second ecdysone peak being high causes molting. Juvenile hormone produced by corpora allata promotes larval development and inhibit adult characters. This hormone may activate or repress the target gene by binding with a specific receptor. It shows status quo effect. Its concentration decreases towards the end of the larval instar, allowing the ecdysone to cause molting. Other hormones required here are barsicon, eclosion, ecdysis triggering hormone, etc. Various kinds of larvae are found in insects. Protopod larva, it represents a very early stage of development. It is found mainly in some parasitic hymenoptera. Oligopod larva, it is hexapodous form and it is mainly of two types: campodiform larva found in neuropterans, some coleopterans, etc. and scarabiform larva that is found in scarabs, beetles and allies. Polypod larva, it is generally poorly sclerotized and here pseudo legs are present and found mainly in lepidopteran, caterpillars, mecopterans, etc. Apodous larvae, they are usually maggot-like, legs are absent, found mainly in nematoceran, dipterans, etc. Several different forms can be recognized according to the sclerotization of the head capsule. Those are eucephalus type, hemicephalus type, acephalus type, etc. Pupa, there are several kinds of pupa found in insects. Dipticus type, these are primitive and relatively powerful and sclerotized pupa. Articulated mandibles present and found in Neuroptera, Mecoptera and Trichopterans. These are always exudate type. And Adecticus type, pupa of this type have non-articulated mandibles which are often reduced. Here two main types are recognizable: exudate Adecticus found in Siphonoptera, most coleopterans, hymenopterans, etc. and obduct Adecticus which are found mainly in higher lepidopterans, nematocerans, dipterans, etc. Coarctate type of pupa, it is nothing new. It is one kind of Adecticus type only. The so-called coarctate pupa of Cyclorephan diptera is clearly exudate Adecticus type enclosed in a puparium. Several advantages are observed of this metamorphosis, like larva and adult are not in competition, carrying capacity of the ecosystem increases, egg and pupa stages allow the insect to survive unfavorable conditions. Accordingly, some disadvantages are also associated here, like larvae are vulnerable to predators, change from one stage to the other requires high level of energy, suitable places are needed for egg laying, and economic disadvantages are also there, like in silkworm, the pupa stage gives silk but the adult doesn't. Here I have attached a beautiful video where a caterpillar is being metamorphosed to a beautiful butterfly. And it is a unique and one of the most important physiological process in insects. It is an overall change in appearance and characters. Without this, I mean without reproductively matured members, the species would quickly die off. So it is a highly necessary requirement in insects. I have taken reference from the Insect Structure and Function by R.F. Chapman, Insects and Outline of Entomology by P.J. Gulan, Wikipedia, www.slideplayer.com. And I'm very much thankful to my college department, to my mentors, Dr. Shongita Lahiri ma'am and Mr. Raja Mukherjee sir for guiding me properly. And I'm extremely grateful to our HOD sir, Dr. Arnab Ganguly. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreya. That's wonderful, brilliant, and of course, I've been knowing you for 6 years. Absolutely, this is a way to say goodbye to all of you. And well, our relations don't end here. You will still have. I was just secretly hoping that you people fail this year. You can stay for one more year. But anyway, let's progress on. And this topic is open for discussion.
Really wonderful presentation, Shreya.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Thank you, sir.
So tell me, what is the biochemical nature of ecdysone?
Sir, ecdysone is a steroid hormone.
Okay, very good. And what is the evolutionary significance behind this metamorphosis, insect metamorphosis? Can you
Sir,
explain?
sir, metamorphosis is a very important physiological process because it helps it is developed in it is gradually developed in developed insects. Like we find a metamorphosis development in arteriogot insects which are primitive, and gradually it become advanced, and in highly evolved insects like Mosca, it is found the hollow metabolous development, which is very developed kind of metamorphosis. So it helps in reducing the competition actually in metamorphosis. If larva, pupa, and adult have different habitat and food habit, so there is no lack of resource and so no competition prevails. So it is helpful in the survival of the insect.
Okay, Shreya.
Perfect answer.
So,
Absolutely perfect.
excellent, really, really perfect answer. So, what should be the applications of insect hormones?
Application of insect hormones, ecdysone. What can you? How can they be used actually for commercial purposes? Say for example, how do I use ecdysone for commercial purposes? What can be
Sir,
done?
sir, I guess as ecdysone is a steroid hormone, we can use it as in making a steroid kind of things like medicines which need steroid. We can use, maybe we can use it this way. Or sir, economically we can use, like if we remove the corpora allata and then the
Okay,
juvenile hormone
Shreya.
secretion of juvenile.
Yeah, can we use or can we design ecdysone inhibitors for improving the silk culture?
Or for pest control? Use them for pest control.
Yes.
uh, Sir, ecdysone inhibitor.
Yes,
Sir,
somehow
we can, yes sir,
you keep the
ecdysone
larva for a
inhibitor.
longer time. You keep the larva
Yes
for a
sir.
longer time,
Yes,
and
sir. Yes, sir. If we use ecdysone inhibitor, ecdysone hormone, the action of ecdysone hormone will be inhibited. So, so it won't get into adult form. So it can't reproduce, and eventually the generation will.
Thank you.
thank you, sir. Perfect. Very good answer.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you,
Sir,
and best of luck ahead. Yeah, go ahead,
sir,
Shreya.
Sir, one thing I would like to say to external side also, respected external side also, and you also, that you said that 5 years we are together. But sir, I would like to say, sir, I haven't yet learned much things to so that you leave me. I will remain your student throughout my life.
Thank you. Thank you, Shreya.
Of course, of course, of course,
Thank,
of course. You
and thank you so
and
much,
try to
sir.
think positively in terms of positively in life and go ahead in life,
Thank you
because
so
the
much, sir.
life ups and downs. So always keep the
And
positive ahead.
and
Go
Thank you
ahead.
please,
so
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
yes, yes, and please try to qualify at any kind of national examination like NET
Exactly.
or
Net. Be serious on that.
Okay,
okay.
sir, as you suggest. Thank you so much, sir.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Next, Sudeshna. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, is it visible?
Yes. It's visible.
Okay, then I'll start. Good afternoon, all my respected professors. I'm Shudeshna Mondol, student of fourth semester PG department from BB College under Kazi Nazrul University. Today I'm going to present my term paper on the topic diapause in insects. So first I'll start with brief introduction on diapause. The word diapause is derived from Greek word diapoin, that means to stop or decrease activity at a time of constant action. So diapause is actually the mechanism or a means of surviving unpredictable, unfavorable environmental conditions such as extreme temperatures, drought, reduced food availability, etc. So next is the occurrence. This arrested development can occur in all the life stages of an insect that depends on the insect species. So next I'll talk about some changes that occur in insect body during diapause. So these changes can be no development in adult male and female during adult diapause, low rate of metabolism, changes in morphogenesis, reduced O2 consumption, etc. Now the types of diapause. There are mainly two types of diapause we can see in insects. These are facultative and obligatory. So first I'll talk about obligatory diapause. So the insects those go enter into obligatory diapause. The diapause starts regardless of environmental conditions and terminates spontaneously without any external stimuli. So it is basically seen in univoltine insects. And on the other hand, facultative diapause is totally different from obligatory. It occurs when environmental conditions become worse and the terminates by token stimuli. And it is seen in bivoltine insects. So other than these two, there are two more diapause seen in insects. These are reproductive diapause and tropical diapause. So reproductive diapause or adult diapause causes suspension in reproductive growth and function in insects. And the tropical diapause mainly seen in order Coleoptera, Lepidoptera, etc. So now we'll discuss about the phases of insect diapause. So insect diapause has three steps as I shown in the slide. So first I'll talk about pre-diapause. It has two steps, induction and preparation. In induction stage, some external cues or the token stimulus stimulates or triggers insects to get into a diapause stage as the favorable conditions are not prevailing at the time. And in the preparation phase, insects those undergo diapause, they prepare themselves by storing a good quality and good source of nutrition. And the next is diapause phase. This is the phase where true diapause in insects occur. It has three steps: initiation, continuation, and termination. So initiation is the starting phase of diapause. So here some morphological development ceases in insects and behavioral changes also come in them. And the continuation stage lasts till it is not reaching the termination phase. And the termination is the last step. In this phase, insects come out by external stimuli or by itself. Now, last is the post-diapause phase. So, diapause is followed by post-diapause quiescence and their direct development starts thereafter. Now, the factors that controls diapause. There are several factors we know. This can be environmental factors, hormonal factors, or some other factors. So, first I'll discuss about environmental factor, temperature. Diapause is solely dependent on temperature. Increase or decrease in temperature can induce insects to enter diapause, but it depends on geographical area, latitude, etc. Now the photoperiod. Photoperiod is basically the short or long day length. So in some insects, for example, Chrysopa sp, short day length cause diapause, whereas in the Drosophila aurelia, it has a long day photoperiod stimulated. And now the next environmental factor is moisture. So diaposing insects do not prefer water during diapause. Moisture content causes termination of diapause state. Now the neuroendocrine control. So some hormones like PTTH, molting hormone, juvenile hormone play important role in this arrested development. So first is PTTH hormone. Prothoracicotropic hormone stimulates prothoracic glands that promote development. And next is molting hormone. It is released from the prothoracic gland and it helps in termination of mainly the pupal diapause. Next is juvenile hormone. It is released from corpora alerta, and this hormone has different effect on different stages of insects. Adult diapause is disrupted in presence of juvenile hormone and maintained in presence of juvenile hormone when the stage is larval. So next is the diapause hormone. This is also called as 24 amino acid neuropeptide that controls diapause immensely. Diapause is released from mother subesophageal ganglion and triggers trehalase production by ovaries. So that increase the glycogen level in eggs, and that is then converted into polyhydric alcohol, glycerol, and sorbitol. And then this sorbitol inhibits embryo development. So other than these factors, there are some other like food, O2 level that also can regulate diapause in insects. So now the recent study definitely gives us much idea about diapause in insects. So these studies are like based on insulin signaling pathways and so on, that is presented in my slide. So considerable progress has been made in clarifying proximal arrest and the signaling pathways like insulin, FOXO that control gene expression pathways. So experiments with bean beetle and Culex pipiens mosquito provide some evidences that circadian clock mechanism is essential for this photoperiodic response. So recent study on Culex pipiens suggests that they try to show a difference between diapause state and the non-diapause state in Culex pipiens mosquito. So during diapause, insulin signaling pathway is shut down and leading to an arrest in ovarian development, and the concurrent activation of FOXO gene. So now I will move on to the advantages of insect diapause. This is a perfect means of escaping extreme weather. It helps insects to escape from competition, predation, etc. It helps insects in their survival mode. And here's my conclusion. So diapause is an life-saving mechanism in insects. It is one of the key evolutionary innovations explaining enormous and unique biodiversity of insects' life. Diapause is critical ecophysiological adaptation in insects that allow them to survive unfavorable conditions. Several researches are done yet and some are still going on. So here's my acknowledgement. I would like to thank our mentor of term paper, Professor Dr. Sangeeta Lahiri ma'am and Sri Raja Mukherjee sir. And also I want to thank our HOD sir. Here's the reference. So I took help from a textbook of entomology Chapman and from some other journals and websites. So that's it. And thank you so much to give me this opportunity to present my assignment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sudeshna. Thank you very much. Nice presentation, I must say. And this topic is open for discussion.
Very nice presentation, Sudeshna.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Can you tell me the crosstalk between PTTH and juvenile hormone?
PTTH and juvenile hormone?
Yes. What kind of crosstalk, signaling crosstalk we can see between juvenile hormone and
between PTTH and juvenile hormone interaction? What does one do to the other?
Okay, sir.
What does PTTH say to JH and what does JH say to PTTH?
Okay, sir. So PTTH hormone, this is an eggosteroid. This is released from corpora cardiaca. So it stimulates the prothoracic gland. Okay, then this prothoracic gland stimulates corpora allata, from there juvenile hormone is released, which is lipid in nature, and that then disrupt the adult diapause, and in case of larval they initiate the diapause stage.
Then what happens when JH increases? What does JH say to PTTH?
So can you please repeat? I couldn't hear you properly.
What does JH say to PTTH? What does JH say to PTTH? When the levels of JH is high, what happens?
When the level of JH is high, then
when the levels of juvenile hormone rises, what happens?
If the level of juvenile hormone rises, then if the stage is adult, that depends on different stages of insect. So if the stage is adult stage, then the diapause stage will be disrupted. But if it is a juvenile stage, for example, larval stage, so this diapause stage will be maintained. The procedure will be maintained.
Okay. So what do you think? What is the function of insulin in diapause?
Function of
I know the
insulin.
function of insulin inside my body, but in diapause, what happens? What if I have?
Is there any connection with the energy homeostasis and diapause?
ঘাবড়ে যেও না।
বল একদম হ্যাঁ বল আমি বলতে চাইছি যে ইনসুলিনের ফাংশন বললি ইনসুলিনের সাথে রিলেটেড, তো আমার প্রশ্নটা হচ্ছে যে ইনসুলিন আছে মানে নিশ্চয়ই এনার্জি কোন একটা ইনভলভমেন্ট আছে ডায়াপোসের সাথে, তাহলে সেটাই জানতে চাইছি হোয়াট ইজ দ্য কোরিলেশন বিটুইন ইনসুলিন ফাংশন এন্ড ডায়াপোজ ইন ইনসেক্ট।
মানে পোকার ডায়াবেটিস হয়?
Maybe no.
ডায়াপোজে এনার্জির কি রিলেশন আছে?
Diapause?
এনার্জি হোমিওস্ট্যাসিস এর ইনসেক্টের কি রিলেশন আছে?
ডায়াপোজে এনার্জির প্রয়োজন নাকি এনার্জি প্রয়োজন নেই? ইনসুলিন হলে কি হয়? ফ্যাট মানে ইনসুলিন বেশি হলে কি হয়? ফ্যাট জমে না ফ্যাট ক্ষয়ে যায়?
ইনসুলিন বাড়লে ফ্যাট কমে যায়?
কমে যায়।
আরে ইনসুলিনের বেসিক ফাংশন কি?
গ্লুকোজ অ্যাবসর্পশন, আরেকটা হচ্ছে ফ্যাটি অ্যাসিড অ্যাবসর্পশন।
একদম তাই, ফ্রি ফ্যাটি অ্যাসিড অ্যাবসর্পশন, অ্যাডিপোজেনেসিস। এবং
ইনসুলিন না থাকলে কি হয়? ইনসুলিন না থাকলে ব্লাডের মধ্যে তোমার ফ্রি ফ্যাটি অ্যাসিডও বেড়ে যায়, কোলেস্টেরল বেড়ে যায়, বেড়ে যায়। ইনসুলিন থাকলে ওটা শরীর টেনে নেয়। শরীর টেনে নেয় মানে এটা টেনে নেয়।
আচ্ছা সুদেশ না, এটা লাস্ট কোশ্চেন। অনেক তো জার্নাল একটা জার্নালের নাম বল which is dedicated to entomology।
মানে যেটা মেনশন করা আছে এরকম কিছু নাকি? মানে
এন্টোমোলজির একটা জার্নালের নাম বলো।
হ্যাঁ, যে কোনো একটা জার্নালের নাম।
এটা পালিয়ে যাচ্ছে। আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে
ঠিক আছে সুদেশ না, ঠিক আছে।
Okay, thank you very much Sudeshna. Now let us go to Udita. Udita is coming in and going out. Something delicate with her network.
আচ্ছা হ্যালো স্যার, শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
হ্যাঁ শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
আচ্ছা স্যার, একটু প্রবলেম হচ্ছে নেটওয়ার্কে।
হ্যাঁ
স্যার দেখতে পাচ্ছেন? হ্যালো স্যার, শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
আমি শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
তোমার স্ক্রিনটা চলে যাচ্ছে। স্ক্রিনটাকে তুমি লম্বা দেখাচ্ছে তো, ওটাকে তুমি কাট করে দাও এরকম।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, ওটা না হচ্ছে না স্যার। স্যার এভাবে বোঝাতে পারি স্যার?
বোঝাতে পারো, ওটা ফোনটাকে এরকম করে দাও, স্ক্রিন রোটেট করে দাও। রোটেট স্ক্রিন।
হ্যালো স্যার।
হ্যাঁ
স্যার হচ্ছে স্যার। স্যার এবার পাচ্ছেন?
দেখতে তো পাচ্ছি, কিন্তু ফোনটাকে শুয়ে দিলে আমরা সব বুঝতে ক্লিয়ারলি পাবো, তোমার স্লাইডটা দেখতে পাবো। লম্বাতে বোঝা যায় না, এরকম করে রাখছো তো, এরকম করে শুয়ে দাও ফোনটাকে, স্ক্রিনটাকে রোটেট করে দাও।
আচ্ছা স্যার, স্ক্রিনটা না আমার রোটেট করতে আমি পাচ্ছি না।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, চালু করো। এটাতে আসলে কিছু দেখা যাচ্ছে না, বোঝা যাচ্ছে না। এইটা এইভাবে আছে, এটাকে কাট করে দাও না।
আচ্ছা এইভাবে সোজা রাখবো তো? এইভাবে রাখবো তো? এটা হচ্ছে না।
এইভাবে ফোনটা আছে, আমাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছ?
না স্যার আপনাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছি না এখন। হ্যাঁ এখন সব প্রেজেন্টিং হচ্ছে। হ্যাঁ আপনাকে
ফোনটা দাঁড়িয়ে আছে, ফোনটাকে শুইয়ে দাও।
আচ্ছা প্রেজেন্ট স্ক্রিন।
Your screen is being presented.
না না, ওর যেটা মনে হচ্ছে না, ফোনের রোটেট স্ক্রিনটাকে অফ করা আছে মনে হয়, স্ক্রিন রোটেশনটাকে অন করতে হবে।
রোটেশনটাকে অন করতে হবে।
অটো রোটেট আমার কাছে স্ক্রিন রোটেট দেখাচ্ছে না স্যার, অটো রোটেট দেখাচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ, auto rotate, that's fine. Okay, now rotate your phone.
স্যার এবার পাচ্ছেন?
হ্যাঁ এবারে আসছে, আস্তে আস্তে হয়ে যাবে। হ্যাঁ এই তো পারফেক্ট। পারফেক্ট, গো অ্যাহেড, স্টার্ট।
System of so here is nutritious that people or animal eat or drink or that plant absorb in order to maintain life and growth. Now, why food is necessary? A food is something that provides nutrients, and nutrients are substances that provide energy for activity, growth, and all the functions of the body, such as breathing, digesting food, and keeping warm, materials for growth and repair of the body, and for keeping the immune system healthy. Now, how food is processed in the body? Food is processed in the body through four that any living organism it needs from after food enters this is called that so it can by the cells of an organism and used to maintain vital bodily functions. Now the digestion is being processed. The digestion is done by digestive system. So here I want to tell the digestive system, the organs that take in food and liquid and break them down into substances that the body can use for energy, growth, and tissue repair. Now, why digestion is important? Digestion is important for breaking down food into nutrients, energy, growth, and cell, and brings to change the molecule of the blood, absorbs them, and carries them to cells throughout the body. So now I will say about digestive system of insects. Digestive system of insects is consists of alimentary canal and digestive gland. Alimentary canal is a long tube-like structure run from mouth to anus and centrally located within the body cavity or hemocoel. Alimentary canal is now divided into three main regions, that is foregut, midgut, hindgut. Ectodermal origin. The midgut is also known as mesenterum, which is endodermal, and the hindgut is also known as proctodeum, which is again ectodermal in origin. Origin. So now I will tell about foregut in brief. Ectodermal in origin. Internal cuticular linings are present. Internal cuticular linings are present in foregut. The structure consists of gastric thecae. Single-like projections are opening of salivary glands in mouth, and mouth is ingestion of food and mixing with enzymes. Amylase partial digestion occurs here. Pharynx acts as a sucking pump in staph feeders, and it also acts as a tongue. Esophagus is a tube-like structure between pharynx and crop. Crop is the place, and now crop is the place where storage of food is done. In honeybee, it is called as honey stomach. So ventricles are feeder. Head to mid via stomatal and bulb surrounded by gastric cecum. That is 5 to 6 knots. Now, the next slide is about midgut. Midgut is ectodermal in origin, and it is of three types. It is made up of three types: secretory cells, goblet cells, and regenerative cells. Midgut consists of gastric thecae. Gastric thecae is finger-like outgrowth found in the anterior and posterior of midgut. This increases the functional area of midgut and shelter of some symbiotic bacteria. And the next one is peritrophic membrane. That membrane is semi-permeable membrane, and it is secreted by epithelial cells present in solid feeders but absent in Proctidium. And it is also known as Proctidium, connected to hindgut, and it also regulates food flow and acts as a bridge between midgut, act as a wait, sir, act as a between midgut and hindgut. Filter chamber. It also has some filter. It also has filter chamber in those insects which are liquid feeders. In liquid filters, filter chambers are present. Filter chambers are actually help to enable the access fluids in the liver.
It seems that there is a huge network problem for Udita. It's not going to improve right now. So, Suprabhat, would you like to ask some questions for her?
Yes, yes. Udita, can you hear me?
So, unfortunately, we have to end our session here because of a poor network problem. There is nothing which we have to live with technical problems.
Hello,
Internet
sir.
in India is not. Oh, Udita, are you able to hear us? Shudip Suprabhat wants to ask you some
Sir,
questions.
I can hear you. Sir, I can hear you.
Okay. Switch your screen off. See, switch your video off, and let Suprabhat ask you some questions. Or
Okay.
like to say
So,
something?
Udita,
Okay, sir.
okay. Can you tell me the names of two digestive enzymes of insect?
Digestive enzymes of
Yes.
that is digestive enzymes of insects. Sir, digestive and sir, amylase.
All right.
Sir, amylase.
And any proteolytic enzyme?
Proteolytic enzymes. No, sir.
Okay. So, what is the composition of hemolymph?
Sir, what is the composition of
Hemolymph.
hemolymph? Yeah. So I really don't know the answer of this. Sir,
And what is the function of peritropic membrane?
peritropic membrane is a semi-permeable membrane which allows the food to enter the body of insect and digestive juice and some digestive enzymes. It also allows the movement towards the further direction.
Okay. So, can you tell me the mechanism of chemoreception by which an insect identifies its food stuff?
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Can you tell me the mechanism by which an insect identifies its food?
Sir, I really don't know the answer of this also.
Okay. So fine. I think we have to end the session today, and it has been a very good session, save for some technical glitches which we have to accept it happens because internet in India is not that reliable. And so this ends the session for several of our students like Omlan. The one thing I would like to mention that when I joined this college, Omlan was still a student, and now it's almost like 6 years when I'm in the college. Omlan is about to pass out. So this is a
Sir, I will always be
milestone.
ready.
Yeah, so it's a huge idea. He has always been there. Yeah, like same with Somodeep or Shreya or Banerjee, Priya Mukherjee, all these people, they have been there. Priya Mukherjee, of course, 1 year later, or Banerjee 1 year later, but Shreya, Omlan, Somodeep, they were even there in the previous years also. And
Yes,
so
sir.
their association actually, this will be the passing out of the students who were right from the beginning of my academic career. So it's a significant step, and I would like to wish all of you the best of luck in your life. And so we would like to end this session over here, and it will be uploaded in YouTube. You can see them later.
Sir,